So today, first of all, we got a new look that is upcoming. So if you guys have access to the staging website, you can go to staging.getrecon.xyz and you're going to be able to preview new release. We call it the V1, the first complete release. So we went from this to this, and your dashboard is going to go from this to this. So it gets a refresh, and at the same time, if you've been using prod, so if you've been using the live site, you may have noticed that as of yesterday, there's more boxes. We added multiple additional capabilities to Recon. Specifically, we added the custom directory as well as the custom out path. And these two fields will allow you to build the vast majority of Codarena and Sherlock repositories in a very simple way. So if I can poll the audience, if you guys want to grab a Codarena and a Sherlock repo that is built in Foundry, please send it to me and we'll build it live. Otherwise, I have a few. I'm gonna also demo the changes that we added to the jobs section, which is a pro feature. This is for Recon Pro for paid customers. And we basically extended the capability of Medusa to have a custom directory as well as a few configuration items, such as a custom config file name, which means that you can have more than one config, meaning you have different handlers and you can run them separately, as well as a test time limit so that you can have a run that runs for an hour, which is the default, or you can have a run that runs even 24 hours a week, however you see fit. We also have added the introduction of Echidna, and Echidna has a similar starting set of settings, the organization, the repository, the branch, and the directory, but Echidna also has these multiple configuration settings that basically allow you to determine where the test contract is, where the configuration is, what the name of the contract is, as well as specify a test limit, which currently is set to default to be 10,000 limits, although most people prefer to have it in the hundreds of thousands of runs. And lastly, we have this dropdown to pick a pre-install command. Let's go and look at the overall UI. You can see the public repository we're going to be building in a moment. We have the new look for the handlers as well. You can click around here, grab some of these contracts, and you'll see that the preview automatically changes. And at this point, we have this filter for long files, but we'll most likely change it a little bit. So let us know what you think. That said, this way you can preview your contracts immediately and you can download them immediately from here as well. And you can also have ghost variables right here with our good old toggling, and you can see the updated code right there. So we can't wait to have you try this out again on staging at Recon and soon coming to production. That said, I'm gonna show you how to build a Sherlock and a Codarena repository. I'm gonna check if anybody sent an example here in the chat. If you guys wanna drop a C4 repo or a Sherlock repo, otherwise I'm gonna grab one myself. I have Unistaker in mind. I think it could be a very good example, and let's see, maybe it's gonna break. This is the first time I tried, so I have no idea what it's gonna do. I do not see a package.json. I see the foundry.toml, and the out is not set, so the out is the default one. So in order to build this repository, we will literally just grab the URL and paste it here. And we will set, as you can see, the organization set to Codarena, the repository to Uniswap, the branch to main, the directory is the default one, and there is no custom output folder. So fingers crossed, we get our job built here, and we can track our ABIs down here being built. And hopefully within a few minutes, that's going to work, and I guess we'll see. I'm gonna show an example of how to build a Sherlock repository, which we saw there were a lot of attempts that failed. So I'm gonna show one that I think could be interesting, which will be JavaSwap. So I'm gonna go in the scope, click on any contract just to get the GitHub link. I'm gonna go to the root here, JavaSwap, And now I can go back here and I'm gonna grab the entire URL. You see Sherlock audit, JavaSwap main. I'm gonna copy the entire thing and paste it, and you can see that it's replaced. But because JavaSwap doesn't have contracts in the root, I have to navigate to this folder. So I'm gonna click and I'm gonna grab this piece of the path. I'm just gonna select it and paste it in the directory. And then I need to check the foundry.toml to see if they have an extra out. I'm gonna search for out and see if they do. They actually do. It's called artifacts. So I'm gonna copy that name and drop it here. And then this should be it in terms of running JavaSwap. So I'm gonna start the job and we're gonna see how it performs. We can see down here in the meantime that the Uniswap build was successful. So when a build is successful, you just find it at the end of your ABI list. And I guess it was partially successful. We'll have to investigate what happened here with the staging. If you run into similar issues, let us know. However, it seems like the job was successful, but somehow it's not finding the ABI. So maybe I'll refresh just to give it a second chance. Yeah, and it seems like it's unable to find it, so we'll have to investigate. But that's how you build it, and hopefully once there's enough data, you'll also be able to try it out. So that was a demonstration of how to use the new builder. As we said, just to recap, whenever you have a contest repository, I guess I can build any of these, but we can at least try it. But fundamentally, you're gonna go in their GitHub, you're gonna navigate to the root folder and grab the URL. Then, and this will set your first three parameters. Then you can go into the specific folder. In this case, it's perp contract v3. And you can grab that name and drop it as a directory. And then lastly, you have to check if you need a custom out by opening up the Foundry and checking for the out parameter. In this case, it's not there. And so these are the settings that you will need in order to be able to build the perpetual contracts. And you see that the JavaSwap was successful. Hopefully it's gonna show in the UI compared to the other one. Let's see. There we go. So we got our JavaSwap ready to go. You can see that because target function is already above 1.5K lines, it's gonna be hidden. However, if you download the folders, you're gonna have access to the entirety of those files. So don't trip if you don't see them, and let us know if it ends up being annoying that you can't see the preview. Perhaps we'll tweak the product a little bit to give you a better experience. So that was the demo on the Sherlock and the Code Arena side. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute. Otherwise, the next feature I'm gonna show you is actual jobs. So feel free to unmute if you want. But that said, something we could do will be to, well, first of all, to access jobs, you need to have Recon Pro. So if you have a protocol that you're working on or you're consulting, have them reach out and we'll talk whether they can sponsor you using Recon as a professional tool. And so this is the jobs page. The jobs page allows you to run a Medusa or an Echidna job. You can see that both Medusa and Echidna have different settings, which we spoke about earlier. And then at the bottom, we have the list of all the previous jobs that were run. Each job will have a coverage report, the logs, and an option to download this stuff. And so this will be the single job page. This is the design that we're going for at this point. The current production design is going to look a little like this, where you get your logs, and then you get your coverage report. And there's some debugging stuff at the bottom of the page. And so anytime you run a job, you have the option of sharing it. And you can do that by clicking a purple button. So I'm gonna go on a random repo here. Hopefully I'll find one that isn't already shared. So there we go. This is an example of a repo that, of a run that is not being shared. And so the button has the wrong name, but the button should say share this job. You can just click on the button and it's gonna generate a publicly shareable URL. I'm going incognito to show you. And so now you can go from having your repository, your fuzzer, private data, etc., and you can turn it into a public report that is shareable, so that you don't need to get 100 people on your GitHub or send it via email or paste it in a gist. You can just set the job to run, and as soon as it's done, you have your shareable report. So we're gonna demonstrate real quick how to run a quick Medusa job. So I have this repository from Antonio called shrinking MWE, and you can see that it's a basic Foundry repo that instead of having the Medusa file, which obviously we could also use, it also has the echidna.yaml file. So in order to run this, I can go in the jobs page and select Echidna. I'm gonna grab the URL. I need to go to the root as to use the automatic URL generation. I'm gonna paste it. The directory is gonna be empty because it's a simple project, and I don't expect any remappings either. The out is set to out, so that looks good. At this point, I'm gonna need to figure out where the tester contract is. I'm gonna assume it's in test. Actually, no, it's in src critic tester.sol. And so we can see the command that we got here is basically -- contract critic tester. So I'm gonna grab and just set the contract name to here. And then I'm gonna grab the config name, which is echidna.yaml, and I'm gonna paste it in the echidna config file name. We don't need anything else, so that's how we get a echidna job to run. Whereas if we wanted to run a Medusa job, it's even easier because Medusa has safer defaults. So if we wanted to run the same repo with Medusa, we will literally just use all the defaults. So I'm gonna just show you how easy it is. I'm gonna just refresh the page, grab the URL from the root, paste it, and that's all I gotta do. So if I want to run Medusa for maybe 60 seconds just as a demo, I will just do as such, and I will be well on my way. And again, if I wanted to share this with my engineers, I could just set the job to run, and then I could set sharing to open, and I can just send them the link. And then eventually, once the job is done, the UI will update with the result. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna check the Echidna one. Maybe I ran it incorrectly. It says that it started, so it's still gonna take a few minutes to process. And since we use the default runs, it's gonna run 10,000 tests. So it's gonna take a bit before we get any meaningful data. But that said, once they're done, if they break a property, we'll also show you an additional tool. And so this is where we are so far with the Recon V1 release. The last thing I gotta show you is the private repositories. So some of you may have installed Recon. The way you install it is when you have Pro, you can just add Recon to your repos. And in this case, I've installed it on this Recon demo free, which was the example we gave last week. And so something we can do is I can go in the jobs page, and I have the repository a demo invariance, which is tied to the same branch. And so what I can do is I can trigger a quick commit by literally just making a text edit. And this is going to be pushing a webhook that is going to tell Recon that the repo was updated, and it should get us to display a automated build so that it basically helps you run it. So in this case, I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm going to see it in prod. Let me see. I guess it broke this time, but you will see a button here at the top that says you push changes to repo number 3. Do you want to run a quick Medusa job? And so that can be a convenience way for you to queue a job as soon as you push it. And in the next update that is upcoming, it's going to be a few a few days, maybe 2 weeks at most away from us, we're going to have campaigns, which means that you're going to be able to specify the logic for which you want new jobs to be run, whether it's on PR or on commit. And again, as a means to fully automate all of the boring stuff away from you. So we got the Echidna broken results. We should also get the Medusa broken results. There we go. And so the last thing I want to show you tonight is something that we made public for everybody at getrecon.com/tools/Medusa. You're going to have a tool that, given a Medusa output, you literally just paste the entire output here, and it should be generating a, a test file. I guess, you know, something broke, but this is where you'll find it. And you should be able to do the same thing with Echidna, which hopefully is gonna work, because I tried it like a minute ago. And basically, given the output, you literally just paste your logs, and you're gonna be able to get automated tests generated for you, so that you don't have to spend that much time running those and setting those up. You can instead just focus on debugging them, which will still take time. So that was a tour of all of our new features, new UI, new builds, a way to build both Codarena and Sherlock repositories, as well as a new upcoming look, which will have ship within a few days. So do you guys want to drop a question in the chat, or you want to follow up through our beta testers chat? Feel free to do so. Otherwise, again, the preview is on staging.getrecon.xyz, and we'll have the new UI live at getrecon.xyz most likely next week. So please send us your feedback if you find any bugs, and then let us know if you have specific problems or specific challenges that you want us to help you with. That said, as of today, all of you guys that were trying to build Sherlock and Codarena repositories should always be able to. So anytime you have issues, feel free to ask us in the education and in the question channel, and we'll help you. But that said, we'll also drop a tutorial. And lastly, we look forward to seeing you use Recon to find real bugs. So whenever you find a bug, tag us and we'll put you on our secret trophy leaderboard. We'll call it short for today. So have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you all next week.